Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into some really significant medical news.
Yeah, some potentially groundbreaking stuff in HIV prevention and also in cancer therapy.
Exactly. We know you want to understand what's really moving the needle without, getting bogged down in all the jargon.
And that's what we aim for. We've been looking at reports in Science, JMA Oncology, JMA Network Open, really digging in.
So our mission today is simple. Pull out the key insights on these new HIV vaccine ideas and potentially easier cancer treatments and make it all make sense.
Make it clear, make it relevant. Let's start with HIV. There's some genuine buzz there.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like a totally different approach to a vaccine.
It really is. The concept everyone's talking about is called germline targeting.
Germline targeting. Okay, break that down a bit.
So think about your immune system's B cells. You have these naive ones, kind of in their original or germline state. They're, let's say, inexperienced.
Like rookies, yeah.
Exactly, rookies. And the idea is to specifically coach these cells, train them up to produce something really special. Broadly neutralizing antibodies. bnAbs, for short.
Okay, bnAbs. Broadly neutralizing. Why is broadly the key word there? What makes them better?
Well, because HIV is incredibly diverse. It changes, it mutates. A normal antibody might only hit one specific version.
Right.
But bnAbs, they're like master keys. They can recognize and neutralize a whole wide range of different HIV strains. That's the absolute goal here.
A master key against HIV. That would be huge. So how do these vaccines actually do the training?
Well, they work by introducing specific HIV immunogens. These are like carefully chosen fragments of the virus protein, not infectious, of course.
Just training signals.
Precisely. Little signals designed to nudge those naive B cells along a very specific path, often in stages. Maybe one shot to wake up the right cells, then others to guide their development towards producing those bnAbs.
And we're actually seeing this work in early human trials. What are the reports saying?
Yes, that's the exciting part. 2 different reports in Science recently showed real promise. Early days, mind you, but promising.
Yeah.
One team, Roger Sanders' group in Amsterdam, they reported seeing exactly the kind of specific immune response they hoped for.
They're hitting the target.
Yeah, he actually said they feel they're on the right track and can target the cells with atomic precision, which is quite a statement.
Wow, right.
Their next big step, he noted, is to really figure out how to push those activated cells to actually start churning out the bnAbs.
So activate the right cells first, then get them to produce the goods. Makes sense. What about the other team?
The other group used a technology that might sound pretty familiar now, mRNA nanoparticles.
Like the Moderna COVID vaccine.
Exactly like that. Moderna was involved, actually. And they also reported success in priming those crucial germline B cells in their early trial.
And using mRNA, that has implications for speed, right?
Absolutely. That's a huge potential advantage. Building on that existing mRNA platform could mean, a much faster development and testing timeline compared to traditional vaccines.
That's critical for something like HIV. Any side effects mentioned?
They did note some skin reactions like rashes or bumps at the injection site in a small number of participants, something they're obviously keeping a close eye on.
Okay. And crucially, these trials weren't just in one place.
No, and that's really important. One was in the US, the other involved sites in Rwanda and South Africa.
Which is vital, given where the HIV epidemic has the largest impact.
Precisely. Most people living with HIV are in Africa, and this specific germline approach hadn't really been tested in African populations before.
So did it work equally well?
The researchers said the mRNA approach seemed to work effectively in participants from both North America and Africa. That's a key finding. It really opens the door for more testing in the places that need an effective vaccine most urgently.
Okay, so summing up the HIV part, this germline targeting idea, especially combined with mRNA tech, looks like a genuinely promising new strategy. It's hitting the right initial immune notes in diverse populations.
Exactly. Early stages, lots more work to do, but it's a very hopeful direction, a potential path to a global vaccine, maybe faster than we thought possible.
Okay, let's shift gears now to cancer therapy. Also some positive news there, focused on making treatments less intense.
Yes, another really important area, refining treatments so they're just as effective, but, easier on patients, less disruptive.
Right. Let's start with the prostate cancer study. This was in JMA Oncology.
That's the one. It focused specifically on men who needed radiation after having surgery, a radical prostatectomy, which is the most extensive kind.
And normally that follow-up radiation is quite a commitment, isn't it?
It is. Conventional radiation often means daily treatments for, up to 7 weeks sometimes?
Wow, yeah.
This study looked at using stereotactic body radiotherapy, SBRT, which is very different. High-dose radiation, but delivered in just 5 sessions.
5 sessions versus potentially 7 weeks. That's a massive difference for someone's life.
Huge. Now, there were some initial hesitations about using SBRT right after surgery.
Oh, why was that?
The main concern was about movement. After surgery, the area where the prostate bed and the tissues around it, like the bladder and rectum, can shift slightly.
Yeah.
So the question was, could you safely deliver such a high-focused dose in just a few shots if the target might move a bit?
Ah, precision concerns. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did this study find? They tracked 100 men who got the SBRT.
They did, and the results after 2 years were really encouraging. The cancer control rates and the side effects profile were very similar to what you typically see with the longer conventional radiation courses.
So basically just as good, but way more convenient.
That seems to be the finding so far. The lead author, Dr. Amar Kishan at UCLA, said it could potentially remove a major barrier for men needing this post-surgery radiation. Though, of course, he stressed, more studies are needed to confirm it long-term.
Still, that's potentially great news for those patients. Less time in treatment, faster return to normal life, perhaps.
That's the hope. Okay, now let's look at the cervical cancer study. This was in JAMA Network Open.
Right. And this focused on less extensive surgery for certain women.
Correct. Specifically, women with low-risk, early-stage cervical cancer. We're talking stage IA2 or IB1, very localized.
Okay.
They looked back at data from over 2,600 women who had one of 3 types of hysterectomy: a simple hysterectomy, a modified radical one, or a full radical hysterectomy.
And the radical ones remove more tissue around the cervix, lymph nodes, that sort of thing.
Exactly. They're more extensive procedures. The question was, for this specific low-risk group, do you need that more extensive surgery? Is a simple hysterectomy enough?
And what was the verdict? Did it impact survival?
Well, quite strikingly, no. They found no significant difference in survival rates between the 3 groups looking out 3, 5, 7, even 10 years.
Wow. No difference in survival even at 10 years.
Yep.
And they also didn't find significant differences in post-operative outcomes, like complications across the surgery types for these carefully selected low-risk patients.
So for women fitting this specific profile, low risk, early stage less surgery seems to be just as good in the long run.
It appears so, which could mean, fewer potential long-term side effects associated with the more radical surgeries, maybe faster recovery times.
It really speaks to that idea of tailoring treatment, doesn't it? Not just using the biggest hammer for every nail.
Precisely. It's about understanding the specific risk and characteristics of the cancer and choosing the right level of intervention, not necessarily the most intervention.
Okay, so wrapping this up, really encouraging progress on both fronts. For HIV, this new vaccine approach, germline targeting, especially with mRNA, shows real promise. Early days, but hopeful.
Definitely one to watch, with potential global implications.
And for cancer, we're seeing evidence that for some patients, men needing radiation after prostate surgery, women with low-risk early cervical cancer, less intensive treatments might be just as effective.
Yeah, SBRT offering a much shorter radiation course, and simple hysterectomy being sufficient for certain cervical cancers. It's about refining care.
It really feels like an aha moment, doesn't it? This push towards more precision, less invasive, less burdensome medicine where possible.
Absolutely. It's a major theme in research right now. Smarter, more targeted therapies, better outcomes with potentially fewer downsides.
So thinking about all this, it makes you wonder, where else could this apply? What other areas of medicine might benefit from this kind of thinking, focusing on precision, reducing intensity where it's safe and effective?
That's a great question to leave people with. Where else can we be smarter, more targeted, and ultimately kinder in our medical approaches? Lots to think about there.
Indeed. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope this helped clarify some of these really important medical steps forward.